There are moments when a thought arrives, sudden and uninvited, like a whisper from somewhere just beyond reason. A name flickers in your mind, a memory you didn't summon takes shape, a pulse of warmth or an ache blooms in your chest, and you wonder, is someone thinking about me right now? You've felt it before, the random rush of emotion that doesn't belong to the moment you're in, the sudden pull toward a person you swore you'd forgotten. Maybe you caught yourself checking your phone for no reason, or waking in the night with their face behind your eyelids. Part of you wants logic, but a deeper part wants proof. Proof that this invisible thread you still feel is real, that what's stirring in you is also stirring in them. If that sounds familiar, you're exactly where you need to be. Because what you're feeling might not be imagination at all. It could be the psyche reaching across the unseen space between two souls. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist who reshaped our understanding of the human psyche, believed that our minds are not isolated islands. They are part of a vast, shared ocean of meaning, a realm he called the collective unconscious. In that ocean, every thought, image, and feeling becomes a current that can touch other souls, even at great distance. When Jung spoke of synchronicity, those eerie coincidences that feel charged with significance, he suggested that what we call chance might be the psyche revealing its hidden order. So what if the strange signs that someone is thinking about you are not superstition at all, but the psyche's language made visible? Today, we'll explore 7 weird signs that reveal when another person's inner world reaches out to yours. Not through magic, but through the subtle geometry of the unconscious mind. Because, as Jung wrote, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Let's begin where that reaction first stirs, beneath awareness, where thoughts become energy and symbols become messages. Sign 1. The sudden urge to reach out. You're scrolling, working, doing something ordinary when suddenly the impulse strikes. Call them, text them, reach out now. It feels irrational, spontaneous, but urgent. This, Jung might say, is the psyche's version of resonance, an unconscious alignment between two minds moving toward contact. In analytical psychology, this moment can be seen as the activation of a psychological complex. A complex is not just a memory, it's a living cluster of emotion and imagery that responds to stimuli, internal or external. When someone is thinking about you, especially with strong emotion, that shared complex, the energetic pattern built between you, can stir awake. Your unconscious picks up the movement first. Your conscious mind experiences it as a sudden, inexplicable urge. To Jung, this wasn't telepathy in the mystical sense, but a manifestation of psychic connection through the collective field we all share. Two psyches once bonded continue to echo each other like tuning forks, even when life pulls them apart. Imagine this. Somewhere, that person sits in quiet reflection, perhaps remembering you, perhaps wrestling with an emotion never resolved. That reflection sends ripples through the unconscious web that connects all of us. When the wave reaches your shore, it translates as the simplest of human urges. Say something. If this happens, Jung would advise observation over impulse. The key is awareness, to hold the feeling in the vessel of consciousness and ask, what part of me is responding? Is this longing, empathy, projection, or intuition? That pause turns instinct into insight, because the psyche speaks in symbols, and sometimes an urge to reach out is not about the person, it's about what they represent within you. In Jungian terms, every other we feel drawn to is also a mirror of the self, an image of what seeks integration. So when you feel that inexplicable pull, consider, are you reaching for them or for a forgotten part of yourself reflected in their eyes? Sign 2. Their name appears everywhere you turn on the radio. There it is, scrolling a random article. Again, someone at the next table says it out loud and your stomach tightens. Their name is everywhere, woven into the fabric of your day. To Jung, this would be a perfect example of synchronicity, a meaningful coincidence without a clear cause and effect link. Synchronicity arises, he said, when an inner state aligns with an outer event, producing a sense of symbolic connection. In other words, when someone occupies your unconscious, Perhaps because they're thinking about you, reality itself begins to mirror that psychic focus. Jung described the world as psychoid, half matter, half mind. In that twilight zone, thoughts and events are not separate. They respond to one another in mysterious, causal harmony. So when their name begins to follow you through the day, it may be the psyche's poetic way of signaling that two inner worlds are still entangled. Names, after all, are archetypal symbols. They hold identity, memory, energy. Hearing that name repeatedly may not mean they're thinking of you in a literal telepathic sense, but rather that your shared psychological field has become active again. The unconscious communicates through symbols. What better symbol of connection than the very sound that defines a person? Jung often noted that what we do not make conscious appears to us as fate, so perhaps it's not random that their name keeps resurfacing. It's an invitation from the unconscious to notice what still lives within you, waiting to be understood. Here's a practical Jungian exercise for when this happens. Each time you encounter their name, stop and write down what you were thinking or feeling at that exact moment. Were you calm, nostalgic, lonely, excited? After a few days, look for patterns. You may discover that these coincidences are not random at all, but form a dialogue between your conscious and unconscious mind, a conversation mediated by the world itself. Synchronicity, Jung said, occurs most often when the psyche seeks balance, when the conscious and unconscious are trying to speak to each other. So the repetition of a name may not be the universe sending you signs of another's affection. It may be the soul's way of saying, "There's meaning here. Pay attention." Both of these signs, the urge to reach out and the repetition of a name, remind us that the boundary between minds is thinner than we think. In Jung's philosophy, every genuine connection creates a psychic bridge, an archetypal bond that outlives circumstance. The emotions shared, the memories built, become patterns that live on in the collective field. When those patterns stir, we feel it, not as logic, but as intuition, not as fact, but as symbol. And in that moment, the psyche performs its oldest ritual. It reminds us that we are never truly separate. In the next part, we'll explore the deeper layers of this invisible communication, how scent, coincidence, dreams, and sudden shifts in energy all become mirrors of the unconscious, revealing what Jung called the living reality of the psyche. Sign 3. The scent that shouldn't be there. You walk into a room and suddenly you smell it, their perfume, their coffee blend, the clean trace of their shirt. For a moment, it's as if they're standing right behind you. Then the air clears and logic returns, but something inside whispers, that wasn't memory. Jung would have called this a moment when the unconscious crosses into the sensory world. Scent is the oldest sense, wired straight into emotion and memory. When it breaks through without a physical cause, it acts as a bridge, not of air, but of psyche. In analytical psychology, smell often symbolizes presence, the archetype of the shadow made tangible. It's the psyche reminding you that even what seems absent still breathes within your inner world. If someone is thinking about you intensely, their image becomes active in your unconscious. The mind translates that activation into something physical, familiar, and immediate. To Jung, such experiences are not hallucinations but psychic compensations, the soul's way of rebalancing separation with symbol. What you smell is not their cologne, it's what they represent: attachment, loss, longing, or reconciliation. When it happens, resist the urge to rationalize it away. Instead, close your eyes and ask, what emotion rose with that scent? Nostalgia, warmth, guilt, desire? That's the real message. In the language of the unconscious, scent is emotion made visible. So next time the air turns familiar for no reason, know this: it might be your psyche translating someone else's thought into your body's own poetry. Sign 4. Unexpected encounters. You take a different street home, wander into a cafe you've never noticed, and there they are, across the room, laughing. Or maybe just a silhouette slipping past the door. Coincidence? Maybe. But sometimes coincidence feels curated. Carl Jung coined the term synchronicity after experiencing a similar event in therapy. A patient told him of a dream about a golden scarab, and in that very moment, a beetle of almost the same type tapped against the window pane. For Jung, this was proof that inner images can call outer events into alignment. When we think intensely about someone, or they about us, our shared psychological field becomes charged. That energy, Jung would say, arranges circumstances symbolically until the outer world mirrors the inner tension. So the chance meeting isn't pure chance. It's an echo in the fabric between two psyches seeking closure, contact, or confirmation. Notice the feeling that follows such meetings. Is it relief, discomfort, joy, or déjà vu? That emotional aftertaste reveals the archetype at play, perhaps the lover, the friend, or the unfinished story. In Jung's view, synchronicities appear when something unconscious demands integration. So when paths cross unexpectedly, it may be less about fate's romance and more about the psyche saying, the story between you isn't finished yet. Sign 5, when they occupy your mind. You're working, cooking, scrolling, and suddenly they're there again. Not as a fleeting thought, but a loop. Their face, their voice, their energy circling in your mind with obsessive precision. You try to shake it, but it lingers, as if someone else has taken residence inside your head. Jung believed that what feels like obsession is often projection, an image from within us cast onto another person. But projection works both ways. When someone thinks of you with strong emotion, that energy can stir the same archetypal image you hold of them. The result is mutual activation, a psychic resonance that feels like mental invasion. In the Jungian view, this isn't madness, it's communication through the symbolic field. You're experiencing the autonomous activity of a complex, a bundle of emotion, memory, and meaning that's been awakened by their attention. It loops because the complex seeks recognition, not repression. When this happens, Jung would advise reflection instead of resistance. Sit with the thought and ask, what part of me does this person represent? What am I being asked to see? Often, obsessive thoughts arise when two souls share the same psychic theme: love, abandonment, transformation, and both are wrestling with it in different forms. To break the loop, you don't need to silence it, you need to understand it. Write the thoughts down, notice their rhythm, their emotional temperature. That act of observation pulls them from the unconscious into consciousness. And that is the very process Jung called individuation, becoming whole by meeting what was hidden. So if someone floods your mind for no clear reason, it may not mean they're haunting you. It may mean your psyches are still in conversation, trying, through thoughts, to finish what words could not. Through scent, through coincidence, through thought itself, the unconscious finds ingenious ways to remind us that connection doesn't end when contact does. In Jung's universe, every bond leaves a trace in the collective field, and those traces shimmer into experience when meaning demands to be seen. In the next chapter, we'll enter the final layer of this mystery, the dreams that visit us uninvited and the sudden shifts of energy that betray another mind touching ours from afar. Sign 6. Dreams that feel like messages. Night falls and logic dissolves. You find yourself walking through a dream that feels too vivid, too deliberate. They're there, not as a blur, but clear as memory. You speak, touch, maybe even reconcile. You wake up with the strange ache of something both real and unreal. Carl Jung believed that dreams are not random firings of the brain, but direct communications from the unconscious. They are how the psyche speaks when the ego sleeps. And because our unconscious is connected to the collective, it is entirely possible that two people, bound by emotional energy, can meet in that shared psychic space. When you dream of someone repeatedly, Jung would call this the activation of a psychic bridge. It doesn't necessarily mean that person is literally visiting your dream, but rather that your unconscious and theirs are resonating within the same symbolic field. The dream becomes the stage where both psyches rehearse what cannot yet be expressed in waking life. In one of Jung's letters, he described how the unconscious often compensates for what consciousness neglects. If you've avoided thinking of them, the psyche might bring them to you at night, not to torment, but to heal, to integrate the fragments left unresolved. Pay attention not just to who appears, but how they appear. Are they silent or speaking? Distant or tender? Those details are the psyche's handwriting. A recurring dream of reconciliation may mirror a longing for closure. A dream of argument may point to internal conflict. Jung would invite you to record these dreams, to treat them as letters from your deeper self. Because sometimes, when someone is thinking of you, the thought travels not through words or coincidence, but through the corridors of dream. There, the boundaries blur, and the unconscious performs its quiet alchemy of connection. Sign 7. The sudden shift in energy. You're fine, focused. Then, without warning, something changes. A wave of sadness washes over you, or a sudden warmth spreads through your chest. No text, no call, no reason, just energy. In the Jungian world, energy is not metaphorical, it is psychic reality. Every emotion is energy in motion, and because we live within a shared field of psyche, those energies can resonate across distance. Jung called this the psychoid dimension, the place where matter and mind, emotion and event overlap. When someone thinks of you with emotional intensity, love, guilt, longing, that emotion becomes a vibration in the collective unconscious. And if you are attuned to them, you may feel that vibration as your own. It's empathy elevated to a spiritual principle, participation mystique, as Jung called it, the ancient sense that we are not separate beings, but expressions of a shared soul fabric. You may notice these moments as mood swings that don't match your day, a sudden sadness in the middle of laughter, a pulse of joy with no cause. That's the psyche's way of reminding you. Connection is not linear, it moves through symbols, through timing, through feeling. Jung would advise awareness, not fear. When the shift comes, don't ask, "Why am I sad?" Ask instead, "What is moving through me?" Maybe it's yours, maybe it's theirs, maybe it's both. Because in truth, the line between mine and theirs is thinner than we've been taught to believe. If you wish to explore it, place your hand on your heart, take a deep breath, and observe. If warmth rises, let it be gratitude. If heaviness comes, let it be compassion. Every feeling is a thread, and some of them lead straight into another person's soul. Sign 8. The mirror moment, when their energy reflects as your own intuition. There are moments when nothing happens, no message, no coincidence, no scent in the air, and yet something inside you shifts. It's quiet but profound, a knowing. You suddenly understand something about them without being told, a truth that feels downloaded, not learned. Maybe you wake one morning and realize you're no longer angry, or maybe you sense inexplicably that they've let go too. You check your phone later, and there it is, a message that proves your intuition was right. You didn't guess, you knew. Carl Jung believed that true intuition is not prediction, but perception through the unconscious. The ability to read the invisible field that connects all minds. When two psyches are bound through emotion or archetype, they often move in synchrony, even when separated. So, when you sense something about them, a change of heart, a moment of crisis, a wave of tenderness, what you're really perceiving is the echo of your shared field resonating through your own inner world. In Jung's view, this is the mirror effect of the self. The other person becomes the surface upon which your unconscious projects not only longing but understanding. Their inner evolution becomes visible through your intuition because, on a deeper level, it's your evolution too. This mirror moment often feels like déjà vu or an internal nod, as if the psyche says, "Yes, now you see." It's the instant when what was emotional becomes symbolic, when love turns from attachment into awareness. You don't need validation anymore because your knowing itself becomes the proof. Jung once described such experiences as the psyche speaking through images rather than words. Intuition, he said, is the function that perceives possibilities, what wishes to become real. So when you suddenly understand them, feel them, or forgive them without contact, it's not delusion, it's integration. The psyche is completing a circle that began long before either of you could name it. History too remembers moments like this. Goethe once wrote of dreaming vividly of a friend's death, only to learn days later that it happened at that exact hour. Carl Jung himself recorded similar events, knowing of a patient's breakthrough before receiving word, feeling a loved one's passing as an unexplainable stillness in his chest. He never called these miracles. He called them psychic correspondences, natural expressions of a universe woven not by cause, but by meaning. In daily life, the mirror moment may appear small. You hesitate before sending a message, and they text first. You think of an old conversation, and they repost that exact quote. You find yourself smiling without reason, and later learn they were thinking of you with affection. To Jung, these events reveal that consciousness isn't confined to the body. It's participatory. We live inside a field of mind, and intuition is how that field whispers. So the next time you feel something shift, not outside, but inside, don't dismiss it as imagination. That quiet recognition may be the most intimate connection of all. The moment when your soul turns to you and says, what you feel in them is what you're ready to see in yourself. When you begin to notice these signs, the impulse to reach out, the name that repeats, the scent, the dream, the shift of mood, you are not slipping into fantasy. You are entering the living architecture of the psyche, the same mysterious terrain that Carl Jung spent his life exploring. He taught that meaning is the bridge between worlds, between the conscious and the unconscious, between two souls, between thought and event. So when these signs appear, don't chase them and don't dismiss them. Simply witness them, because every sign is a mirror, and what you see reflected is both the other person and the parts of yourself that still reach toward them. As Jung wrote, synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see. Maybe what you call coincidence is not fate chasing you, but your own psyche inviting you to see that connection is never lost, only transformed. So if you've been wondering whether someone is thinking of you, perhaps the real question is, are you willing to listen to what your own soul has been trying to tell you all along? If you've made it this far, maybe it's because something in these signs felt personal, familiar, like your own story, quietly unfolding. If that's you, welcome. This space is for people who feel deeply, who notice the invisible, who believe that meaning hides in the smallest coincidences. Subscribe so you don't lose your way back here. We explore the language of the soul, the symbols of the mind, and the strange beauty of human connection. And tell me in the comments, which sign surprised you most, and which one made you realize that what you felt was real all along. See you in the next video.